Hey guys, welcome. Mike Chowline here with Rob Evans from Hots&Cots. Just wanted to get an update on some things that happened this past weekend. Rob, go ahead and lead us off here.
Yeah, sure. So Friday late afternoon around 4, I saw someone posted on Reddit that they were being turned away from the dining facility after coming back recently from a deployment over at Fort Johnson, Louisiana, formerly Fort Polk. And I reached out to the individual to see what was going on. And that just as the post said, that him and several were being turned away because of some sort of CAC card entitlement configuration issue. Traditionally, you could do a head count sheet. It's a 3032. You can just sign that, and then everything kind of gets worked out in the back end, and soldiers can go eat. But that wasn't being done. So I reached out to a contact I had over at AMC, who informed me that they need to work with their chain of command, but they were also going to reach out to Fort Johnson and see what was going on. I kind of just took it as that issue was going to be resolved and soldiers were going to be able to eat. Then Sunday, a photo was posted, and I'll read it.
I can actually pull it up right now.
Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, if you can pull it up, that would be even better. But basically saying we're not going to do a 3032. You need to go see your S1 to get it fixed. But this is a Sunday. No one's probably there on a Sunday. It's just simply signed per G4. The signature is, you can't read who the signature is. There's no signing authority except per G4. So now you have soldiers not being able to eat. And I spoke with the soldier last night, and they're still turning folks away. Now, Fort Johnson released a statement saying they're aware of this and no soldiers are being turned away. So we have a sign that says you're going to be turned away, and I have soldiers saying they were turned away. And then you have Fort Johnson, their public affairs officer, PAO, saying they're aware of the situation and no soldiers will be turned away. So I chatted briefly a little bit yesterday with the Fort Johnson public affairs officer and said, I understand you're saying no soldiers are being turned away, but I have conversations saying the soldiers are being turned away. So I hope we're not saying soldiers are lying, and I'm hoping they're upholding the Army core values of one of them being integrity. So that's where things are at right now. I've also been informed from other individuals that yes, soldiers are being returned away in this scenario during this situation. So there's a lot that is happening from the Fort Johnson and the soldier side of things where, yes, I understand there's this MEC meal entitlement card piece, this component missing from where they can scan their CAC card, which I understand the system's not perfect, but that needs to be fixed. I agree, but we shouldn't be turning soldiers away from being able to eat. Like, they should be figuring that out on the back end, and getting these soldiers food. I mean, this is money they're paying for. This is food they're paying for.
Well, it comes down to whether they want to actually go through the process of doing the paperwork side at the DFAC level, doing the 3032 is, I believe, the paperwork, the head count sheet.
Yeah.
Where, and if the soldier is found to not be eligible for the meal, then they can deduct that from his paycheck.
Sure. Yep. There's ways
of doing it so the soldier can still eat. That way you're not turning them away at the door. Also, is my understanding that they were just coming back from a deployment?
Yes, they were just recently coming back home from a deployment. And there's only one some other things to just point out. There's only one DFAC open, the Patriot DFAC. The others are under renovation. They're being repaired. I think one of them, I think Geronimo is having their HVAC system redone. So I mean, there's reasons why there's only one DFAC open. But The other component of this is you don't know. So you're turning these soldiers away. Hey, go figure out food on yourself. We kind of may have this view, this lens of like, oh, they're just drop in their car and drive off post somewhere. Well, that maybe not. They may not have a car. A lot of those living in the barracks don't have vehicles. That's why barracks and dining facility location being close together is so important. You don't want soldiers walking a mile and a half to their closest dining facility or waiting for a bus to show up, and by the time the bus gets there, you only have 15 minutes before the dining facility closes. So that's like another part of I'm trying to raise awareness of, these locations of the dining facilities in the barracks is important for the quality of life. You don't want soldiers walking miles to get food. So then the other option is like, oh, they can just DoorDash. Well, that's not cheap. Like you're gonna end up spending $20 on a $5 burger after. Actually, I don't even know if burgers are even $5. I mean, you go to Five Guys, burgers are like $10. But the point is, you have all these extra service fees on meal delivery services that are just now going to be upping the cost of the food. So, and so it's just the whole thing is not a great scenario, great look, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so and this base has been notoriously not responsive to stuff before, correct?
Correct. I've tried to reach out to Fort Johnson on issues previously, and so one of the things I track response rates on installations when I tag them or I'm reaching out to them on social media. If I have a point of contact on post, I'll go to them. But if I don't, I'll tag them on social media, and I track the response rates. And it's not zero now since they did get back to me, but they had at the time a 0% response rate of getting back to me on any issues I've raised on that were reported on Hots&Cots.
Okay, so now we've kind of gotten them to. You finally got a response from them. What did it actually take? You think to get the response from them?
I think the work that I posted on X, formerly Twitter, as well as what Army Reddit posted. They kind of kicked off a post as well. I think a combination of events of those was what kind of forced them to really we need to make a statement. I think they also started getting media inquiries. So that was also, I think they needed to make an announcement. It wasn't until later yesterday that they actually reached out to me. So you had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then most of Monday before they finally made a response.
Yeah, well, most of the responsible leadership would not even be anywhere near base on a weekend. And,
yes, and so that's my whole thing is like, why are they telling them to go to see their S1 who's not going to be there on a Sunday?
Yeah, to me personally, I'm looking at it. So if I was running a dining facility and they know what the head count's supposed to be approximately for those that are supposed to be on base. They all should also know if a unit is returning from deployment. They were missing 500 heads for the last 9 months, and now 500 heads are coming back. You need to be prepared in case those 500 heads decide they want to come to eat food, right?
Yep.
So you're aware these guys are coming back, and the potential ramifications of that would be some of their CAT cards might not work. So, because they might not have had opportunities to get it updated while they were deployed. So this would be like one of those situations where you'd be like, hey, let's just put it on paper, get you fed, get you out the door.
Yeah, and we shouldn't forget, it wasn't too long ago in February when military.com, Steve had that article about 151 million taken from soldiers' paycheck that's kind of went missing. Now, the numbers that Steve posted in the article originally didn't include Fort Johnson and what their money collected from soldiers and money spent on food, but I'd be curious to see what those numbers would look like. It is a larger installation. It's a training installation as well. So I mean, I'd be interested to see what those numbers look like if anyone's able to get those.
Well, so that's the thing is when I talked to Steve about that, he said he requested all the rest. Once he found the initial, they gave him he just asked for the top 12 or top 11 largest bases to get the information. Mm-hmm. And then when he found that, he's like, well, can I have all of the bases now? And they're like, no, because they didn't want the black eye because they know you have to know it's the same everywhere.
Yeah, I don't
at least to
know.
some degree.
What I don't quite understand is this MEC entitlement on the CAC card. At the end of the day, soldiers need to eat in the same way the sun sets and the sun rises. Like, why? Like, we have to feed soldiers. Like, you have to. It's part of the, like, this agreement, like this part of this deal that soldiers and recruiters in the army and services made when they enlisted. Like, hey, you're gonna, at least for me, I don't know if it still is, but like, hey, your food's gonna be taken care of, your housing's gonna be taken care of. Come join the military. Well, I mean, what's that mean when you're getting turned away from the dining facility for food that you're already paying for? And now, yes, I think Fort John said they're going to be reimbursed, but what is that like? I mean, one day, I don't know what that is. If you want to divide 460 divided.
If you've ever waited on the government to send you money back that they owe you.
Yeah. Like, that's not going to be probably a quick thing.
No.
To get that money back. So, yeah, it's not I'll be curious to see how things improve. I'm still chatting with the soldier to see if soldiers are getting turned away. I know as of last night, soldiers are still being turned away. So we'll see what happens today when I hear back from them.
Yeah, that falls on leadership, and the DFAC leadership first falls on DFAC leadership, and then it falls on base leadership for not figuring out a way to get these soldiers fed. I mean, if an officer has to go and pull his personal card out and pay for the meals for them, that would be the ultimate. That would be like the ultimate way of handling this situation to make sure it doesn't get,
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know exactly what the soldiers' chain of command involved, like how involved they are, but somewhere there is a leadership failure in this that soldiers did not get to eat. And that is, food insecurity is a real concern within the military, which doesn't, kind of seems like an oxymoron. Like,
yeah.
So the army and the military has made feeding soldiers very complex and difficult when I don't think it needs to be, when there's colleges and universities doing this.
Yeah. Well, I think back on the times when I've visited my brother on base several times when he was back in the 90s. And when we'd visit with him, we never had to pay. We'd go eat at the dining facility. He was an officer, but he was like a lieutenant, second lieutenant. And we go to the dining facility with him, and we never paid.
Yeah.
You go in and eat, and that was also before they had the digital tracking where you could scan the card and stuff. He would just put his name down and say he had 4 guests, and that was it.
That was it. Yeah. And it's not like the army and the military is short on money. Like, this isn't a money thing, in my opinion. Like, at the pots of money you're dealing with, it's just kind of like, is it real money at this point? Like, you're dealing with billions of dollars, millions of dollars, like that. Like, what does that mean? Like, when you're one person or 5 people, enough people showed up at the dining facility, they had to make a sign to post on the window or door to turn soldiers away. So, I mean, this wasn't like 1 or 2 soldiers. This was a lot of soldiers showing up that, okay, we need to put up a sign.
Yeah. Well, that should have triggered something else. But anyway,
it's like, okay, what's going on? Why are we having all these soldiers showing up?
Well, and it's because these are all the guys from the deployed unit that just came back. Their CAC cards, because I get that too, because the BAS then once they're deployed, the BAS goes to the unit that is taking care of them while they're deployed. And so the dining facility technically doesn't receive that money while they're deployed. It goes to the unit. And so then there's paperwork when they, their orders, when they come back, there's the paperwork lag and delay of like it coming back and they going back to the DFAC there. But that doesn't change the fact that this is still the Army. These are still soldiers. They were coming back from a deployment. Feed them.
Yeah. Somewhere there was an administration error. Somewhere something fell through the cracks. And because of somebody's mix up or error, the soldiers trying to eat are the ones that have to kind of deal with those repercussions, unfortunately.
Yeah, when it should be at least at minimum an NCO locally that should take the heat for that and just say feed them.
And is this an issue where somebody needs to take the heat and not maybe take a step back and see, okay, what do we need to do to fix this? Like, what failed? What systems are broken? This happened. Hunter Army Airfield had this same exact issue. Not necessarily say same exact issue, a similar issue in February where soldiers were turning up to the dining facility and they were being turned away because of the same MEC issue, this meal entitlement card issue. But they saw what was happening and they just did a 30-32. They just did a head count sheet and let soldiers eat, like which is what it should have been. Like, and I understand somebody reached out to me and said, well, the 30-32 is kind of, they're trying to do away with it. And it's only supposed to be used when the CAC cards are and the system is completely down. Sure, but you need to have these. There needs to be these scenarios. Okay, what happens in this scenario where the MEC card there's an entitlement issue on the weekend when nobody's working besides the dining facility, like the S1 shops closed down. Like, there's got to be something improved. But I don't know. Maybe someone, I don't know. These are people's livelihoods. I understand these are people's jobs. So why is the system failing? Like, what are we doing? What is happening? Maybe take a step back and do an after action review and figure out how can we prevent this from happening again in the future.
Yeah, and that's the fact that it's potentially happening at multiple venues across the country, not just one, means that there's either a cultural issue within leadership on the breakdown of communication for this kind of stuff, electronic, whatever, between the units. And then, or it is completely just a lack of give a shit by the local leadership in the dining facility to handle the situation when these things happen, because I'm sure it's going to happen regardless of how many SOPs you put in place.
It's going to happen.
Like this is going to happen, but the SOP then should cover that happening.
Yes, it should. It should not result in a sign in the door from just a random G4 title block saying get bent. Like go pound sand.
You leadership Monday.
Yeah, we'll fix it Monday. It's like, meanwhile, figure it out on your own for the weekend of how you're going to eat.
Yeah. Well, what happens when these guys come back from a deployment? So they've been on deployment for 9 months, and the S1 decided, hey, I got leave. I'm gonna go take a 5-6 day weekend with my family since I haven't seen them for 9 months. I'm gonna go. Bye. And then these soldiers are stuck on base, can't get the information, can't get the stuff updated because the S1's on vacation.
Yes.
That's a very plausible problem that could be happening.
It is. I mean, there are memes around there are plenty. If you go on social media, you're going to see the memes about the S1 shop and the hours and them working. So, I mean, there may be some truth to that. Like somebody went on leave and didn't do what they needed to do, or maybe they thought they did, or which the Army's notorious, military, at least when I was in, is kicking back paperwork because of like a missed signature block or because of something wasn't properly filled out. So
yeah,
I don't know.
didn't check the box.
You didn't check the right box, so we're gonna kick the whole thing back. Like that's very plausible as well.
Yeah, the big green weenie, as we called it.
At the end of the day, though, like we have Fort Johnson saying no soldiers were turned away, and now you have and I have soldiers saying yes, we were turned away, and that is I wish Fort Johnson would have handled that a little bit differently instead of straight up saying the soldiers are lying. Which to me, that's the way that comes across: is you're saying the soldiers are lying.
Right. So, is there anything that we can do to help get this word out other than everybody, like that is, if you're serving the military active duty or reserve component, or you're a civilian contractor working on post, or you're working with these units on post, download Hots&Cots and keep up with it. If you have the opportunity and see something happening at the base you're at, go check it out. See if they're actually telling the truth, and then post it and show, hey, yeah, this is happening.
Yeah, download Hots&Cots, make the reviews. I mean, those reviews can be good or bad. I mean, if there's let's say you're at a dining facility and your mech entitlement isn't working, but they decide to feed you anyways, and review it, rate it, review it. I mean, they're taking care of you, looking out for your best interest instead of just turning you away.
Yeah, that would be an awesome thing to see. I would love to see that, where they're like, I would have loved to see this post be like, hey, that we're having issues with our CAT cards, our MECs, and they still fed us. Now we got to go see our S1s and get it straightened out so we don't get charged for it later.
Yeah. I mean, those reviews are equally as important as the one that we see here right now. That because it shows that what can be done. It shows like, hey, this was an avenue that they could have went.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Rob. I want to let you get back to your busy day. I know you got a busy day ahead of you. But thanks. So we can find you on Twitter, or X as they call it, Hots&Cots, and right.
Yes, you can find me there. Just Google. You can Google Hots&Cots. You can find me on the App Store. The app is free. You can view reviews. You can go to hotscots.app and you can see reviews there as well and learn more about Hots&Cots.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for sharing this story for us, and thanks for keeping the word out there so the soldiers are getting taken care of. I appreciate what you do.
Thanks for having me, Tracy.